Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for participating in the 22-23 Summer Kauai Hongwanji Council Nembutsu Seminar. My name is Sean Yagi. I'll be your MC today. Now, let me switch my microphone to the President of Kauai Hongwanji Council, Ms. Carol Valentine, for welcome address.
Good morning, everyone. As Reverend Yagi said, I'm Carol Valentine, President currently of Kauai Hongwanji Council, and I want to welcome everyone to this summer Nembutsu seminar. Thank you for taking your time on a Saturday. We appreciate it all, and I know that I'm looking forward to hearing more about manifesting Amida's compassionate heart. So welcome, everyone. I will turn it back to Reverend Yagi. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, let me introduce our special speaker for today, Reverend Tatsuo Muneto. Reverend Tatsuo Muneto was born on March 8, 1941, and raised in Hiroshima, Japan. He graduated from Ryukoku University with a BA in Buddhist Studies in 1964. In August 1965, he arrived in Hawaii and was appointed as the Assistant Director of the Hawaii Kyodan Department of Sunday School. In 1967, he was awarded the Hawaii Kyodan Scholarship, which allowed him to enroll in an MA program in Religion and Asian Studies at Claremont Graduate University in California. He successfully completed that program. Upon his return to Hawaii Kyodan, in 1970, Reverend Muneto was assigned to various temples in Honolulu, Big Island, and Kauai. During his assignment on Kauai, he took the clinical pastoral education, earning 1 unit in 1987. He retired from his position as a Rinban of Kauai Hongwanji, Hawaii Betsuin on December 15, 2015 at the age of 75. Welcome, Reverend Muneto, to our Nembutsu seminar. We are delighted to hear your lecture today through the Zoom. Let's switch the screen to Reverend Muneto. Everyone, please enjoy the class. Muneto sensei, よろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you, Reverend Yagi, for your nice introduction. Good morning, members of Kauai Hongwanji Council temples and friends. Before I begin, we'd like to express our condolence or sympathy to those who lost their homes and property in the Haina and the Kura. We are very disheartened to hear that the Haina town was totally engulfed by the wildfire. And I cannot believe that the town is gone. But I believe the town will be recovered through the kindness and the assistance of the members of the community in Hawaii, mainland, and Japan, and so forth. It is a pleasure for me to be with you this morning as a guest speaker of this year's Kauai Nembutsu seminar. The title of my talk is Manifesting Amida's Compassionate Heart, the Legacies of Nembutsu Followers in Hawaii. In September 2024, Kauai Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii will be observing its 135th anniversary of the founding of Nembutsu Sangha in Hawaii. Thanks to the hard work of our forefathers, each of us today is able to enjoy the teaching of Jodo Shinshu and giving peace and happiness. May we ask ourselves this morning how our forefathers lived their Nembutsu lives decades ago and founded our local temples. Let us first review the main body of Shin teaching, and we will talk about how they practice it today. Next slide, please. As you may know, the goal of Buddhist teaching is to become free from suffering and sorrow in human existence. What did Shakyamuni Buddha first teach in India 2,500 years ago? That was that was the Four Noble Truths. And he taught that life is suffering. Our life doesn't move according to our wishes. This diagram shows that Shakyamuni Buddha taught that blind passions were the cause of suffering. The blind passions are, first, blind ignorance. It means that we are out of focus with reality. We live daily with this self-centered mode of being. Then the second blind passion is misdirected reactions. What does that mean? When our life does not move according to our wishes, we become angry. When our lives are in favorable condition, we react to it with greediness. Thus, blind ignorance causes anger and greed and makes our human life miserable. Blind passions are the causes of suffering. You know, Dr. Ken Tanaka, who comes here quite often, he once said, there are gases in life. Well, we have gas, G-A-S, G for greediness, A for anger, S for stupidity. As a result of the working of these three poisons, our life becomes suffering. Shakyamuni Buddha said that we live in the sheer cycle of birth and death for a long, long time. He said that we must become free from the sheer cycle of suffering that is called samsara. How can we become free from suffering? Yes, that is to practice the A4 path. We practice A4 path. That is basically to purify our acts in thoughts, words, and deeds. And the yellow arrow from self to above signify our practice of A4 path. Do you think we can do that? Perhaps if we lead a monastic life and practice the 5 precepts, not to kill, not to tell a lie, not to steal, and so forth, you can reach the bliss of Nirvana momentarily. We all have families to take care of, and we have jobs to do. Yes, it is almost impossible to become thoroughly free from suffering and sorrow of human life. Therefore, there is Jodo Shin Buddhism. Shinran Shonin taught, the founder of Jodo Shin is Shinran Shonin. He taught that the compassionate heart of Amida Buddha liberates all from suffering and sorrow. But Amida Buddha is not a god or a supernatural being. It is a form of light of wisdom, compassionate call. Let us explore this subject for a moment. Next slide, please. This diagram shows that there are 2 kinds of bodies of Buddha in Mahayana Buddhism. The first is the Dharma body of suchness, or Nirvana. This body is shown by the circle without circumference. It is beyond human understanding ideas. But because this transcendental body is Buddha's mind and heart. It wishes to reach the realm of mankind as Amida Buddha, that is called Dharma body as compassionate beings, Amida Buddha. Now, Amida Buddha vows to embrace all sentient beings with the light of wisdom and to become the call that name, name that call, that is myogo, or simply name in Jodo Shinshu. So what Amida Buddha enables us sentient beings to do is to see the light of wisdom and to hear Amida's calling voice. When we hear this call of Amida Buddha, it becomes in our heart, entrusting heart, which is shinjin in Japanese. May I first share with you a story in which a local person saw the light of wisdom and was able to overcome her suffering. Can I have next slide, please? While I was at the Kauai Hongwanji in the late 1980s, the late Miss Cynthia Masukawa introduced to me an elderly Nisei lady living in the state housing. This lady was not able to attend the temple service due to her health reason. Cynthia thought that I should meet with this lady, who was not well liked by BW members of the temple. So Cynthia thought that I should talk to her about the unconditional love of Amida Buddha. I met this lady twice. On the second day, this lady divulged her heart and mind and related to me her sense of loneliness. She talked to me about her personal problem with the following verse. I quote, "Sensei, this morning when I was clearing my house, my room, I found that my mind and heart was in pitch darkness. I was not good to people and haven't done anything good for the community," end quote. She looked sad, but sincere and honest. When I hear this kind of comment from a temple member in counseling, usually I say, "Don't worry, 大丈夫, 心配しないで, don't worry," and so forth. But I listened to her with much care because this lady was telling me the truth. So I asked her if she was trying to clear her mind and ask for Buddha's forgiveness. If so, I said, "That's not needed. That has been resolved by Amida Buddha." I said that she did not have to try to clear her inner being in front of Amida Buddha, because Amida Buddha has already directed wisdom and compassion. When I thus reassured her of Amida's light reaching her mind, she said, "That's right, that's right." And she looked comfortable. And I continued to convey the following words of Kakunyo Shonin, the great-grandchild of Shinran Shonin. Next slide, please. Kakunyo Shonin said, "When the sun rises in the eastern sky, the day dawns. But people in the world say that the sun is rising after seeing the day dawns. This way of seeing is not correct. As a result of Amida's light of wisdom shining, the long night of ignorance is cleared." After hearing these Kakunyo's comments, the lady told me that she once had learned this truth from a minister of Waimea Hongwanji some 40 years ago. I assume that Reverend Oe must have told the lady the following words. The sun shines in the eastern sky and the day dawns. The Buddha's wisdom light has been shining. Then one's mind and heart is illuminated. Don't ask if your mind and heart is cleared. Ask that the sun is shining. Ask if the sun is shining. Ask if Buddha's compassion is shining. This lady's concern was her own limited self and her nature of not being kind to others. So she wanted to make her inner being clear, but she was not able to do that by her own effort. That's why she confessed her own limitation and asked me what she should do. Knowing that Amida's light of wisdom was already shining in her mind, she received it with true peace of mind. And she became a person who was promised to attain birth in Amida's Pure Land. At this time, I'd like to have a few minutes break. Is that okay with you, members? All right. Shall I move to the second Nembutsu follower? By the way, Hanamaru Dogyo means a practicer, fellow practicer in Hanamaru district. Second Nembutsu follower is from the island of Hawaii. Now, let us review how Amida's name that calls, that is called the Myogo in Japanese, is heard and recited. Can I have slide 6, please? After this slide. Yes, this one. Amida Buddha reaches us through the light of wisdom. And Amida Buddha reaches us through the name that called Myogo. Every one of us is an ordinary human being, a foolish person of blind desires. But Amida's compassionate call is directed towards us, and it becomes in us, shinjin. When we hear the name of Amida, we attain shinjin, and we become a person who attains birth in Buddha land of peace. Not right away, after death. While we live, we become a person who is promised to attain birth in Buddha land of peace through hearing the call, Amida's call, Namo Amida Butsu. I will introduce to you a Nembutsu follower from Kona to see how the call of Amida is received and or heard. The name of this person is Chiono Sasaki. May I have next slide? Chiono was born and raised in Pahara area and married at an early age of 16 and raised one child. Because her husband was abusive, Chiono moved to Kona with her child and remarried. Her life in Kyopu, Kona was harsh because of low coffee price. When I was at the Kauai Hongwanji in early 1980s, Chiono used to speak the following words. Sensei, when I became age 40, I realized that my life became very difficult. This is Chiono Sasaki's picture that I took in early 1980s. She's a local girl And she looks very honest and sincere. Yeah. And she told me that her life became difficult when she became age 40. Chiono had 8 children to raise at that time. In order to release her stress and suffering, Chiono went to many religious gatherings, such as Shingonshu, Sechonoye, including Shin gathering at the local branch temple called Hawaii-nei. Chiono wanted to become a truly good person, a loving wife, and caring mother. No matter how hard she prayed to the Buddha and listened to the messages and said the Nembutsu Nambandabutsu, Chiono realized that she was not able to become a good person. She could not sit still. She hired the Onizuka taxi in Kyoto and went to the Kauai Hongwanji temple in Karakekua. Reverend Shu Matsura was the resident minister at that time. Seeing Chiono's serious attitude and anxious facial expression, Reverend Shu Matsura sensed that Chiono needed to be an ordinary person and needed friends to talk to. Sensei said, "Sasaki-san, baka ni nari nasai. Baka ni nari nasai." He did not mean that Chiono had to be intellectually stupid, but meant that she must be open and honest, down to the earth, and talk to her friends. Chiono understood the minister's words right away. The sensei's words, "Baka ni nari nasai," were meant to become a foolish person of blind passion. Chiono remembered that Amida's wisdom and compassion had been directed to such a person of defilement. By becoming baka, or ordinary person of blind passion, Chiono realized that Amida's calling voice, Namo Amida Buddha, had reached her mind and heart to embrace her. In this realization, the power of Namo Amida Buddha, she accepted herself, her circumstances as they were. May I repeat, in this realization of the power of Namo Amida Buddha, she accepted herself, her circumstances as they are. This total affirmation of life was expressed in her poem, Kono Mama, I am what I am. When D.T. Suzuki, the world-famous Zen teacher, had the opportunity to read Chiono's poem at Kauai Hongwanji in the late 1950s, he was very much impressed by the truth of total affirmation. D.T. Suzuki said, "Yes, kore, this is it in Jodo Shinshu." And he introduced Chiono's poem in his book entitled Mysticism, Christian, and Buddhism. This is the title of the book, Mysticism, Christian, and Buddhist. Here is the English translation of Chiono's poem that is entitled Kono Mama. Can I have next slide, please? Kono Mama, I am what I am. I am so happy about being as I am that I naturally bow my head. Being good or bad, I am what I am. Being false or true, I am what I am. Having or not having, I am what I am. Rain or shine, I am what I am. Because the compassion of where Sama Amida Buddha is all-embracing. I am now contained within it. Where Sama Buddha is pleased, and I am happy too. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. As some of you know, this Japanese phrase, konomama, has been used by ministers in the Dharma message and lectures. Many people thought that because in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, Amida-sama saves you as you are. You don't have to do anything, like going to the temple to listen to the teachings. Just stay home and take it easy. Many people took konomama like this, and this is a grave misunderstanding of konomama. I am what I am. Can I have next slide, please? Chiyono's understanding was very different. The Japanese word kono signifies one's mind and heart, where Amida's compassion, Namo Amida Butsu, has reached to embrace. With her inner being totally embraced by Amida, Chiyono saw that no matter how her life changed, Amida's calling voice, Namo Amida Butsu, has reached her mind and heart. This fact does not change. Therefore, she said, rain or shine, I am what I am. Good or bad, konomama, I am what I am, and so forth. While she said that, she realized her life become rough at the age of 40. Chiyono looked peaceful and happy. No matter what happened in her life, Amida's name reached her and appeared as her saying, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, in appreciation. At this time, let us review the meaning of Namo Amida Butsu with the instruction of Reverend Jitsen Kakehashi. May I have next slide, please? Two aspects of Namo Amida Butsu. First, Namo Amida Butsu is the call of Amida, asking all, saying, entrust yourself to me. I will surely save you. I surely liberate you. Secondly, Namo Amida Butsu signifies one's entrusting heart, shinjin, telling joyfully, I entrust myself to Amida, who surely saves me. This is the second aspect of Namo Amida Butsu. As a result of receiving the light of Amida and hearing the Nembutsu call, many Issei pioneers in Hawaii live their lives truly and attained shinjin awareness in their lives. They attained birth in the pure land of peace at the moment of death. Now, let us review the legacies of local Nembutsu followers whose spiritual lives we covered this morning. Can I have next slide, please? The first legacy is self-acceptance. As a result of discovering herself in the wisdom light of Amida Buddha, the Hanamaru Dogyo was able to accept herself, and therefore she was able to accept others. What is the meaning of this term? According to a definition by Virginia Department of Health, self-acceptance is defined as an individual acceptance of all of the attributes positive or negative. When we are self-accepting, we embrace every part of ourselves, not just the positive things. Self-acceptance is unconditional. You can recognize weakness, but still fully accept yourself. In my understanding, one's weakness becomes a source of humbleness, but because of weakness, realization of weakness, we are embraced by Amida's compassionate heart. So it's okay to have weakness in your hearts and minds, okay? The second legacy is resilience. Can I have next slide, please? By the way, when Shiono Sasaki of Kona reached her realization of the compassionate call of Amida within herself, she became open, honest, resilient to anything that happened in her life. Resilience is a virtue of human life. Resilience is a virtue in human life. Katie Curie of Resilience Resource Center defines it in the following verse. Resilience is the ability to withstand adversity and bounce back from difficult life events. Those who are lacking resilience get easily overwhelmed and may turn to unhappy coping mechanism. Resilient changes and work through problems. Resilient people tap into their strength and support system to overcome challenges and work through problems. I really like this word, resilience. Our forefathers in the local temples went through varied kind of problems, personal, economical, and social. Many of them succeeded in overcoming those human problems with the guidance of the Nembutsu teaching taught by the ministers. We are indeed grateful to them for laying solid foundations of today's local temples. Can I have next slide, please? We are living in a multicultural society today in Hawaii. In September of 2024, the Kauai Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii will observe a triple celebration. It is 850 years since Shinran Shonin was born. It is 800 years since he laid the foundation of Jodo Shinshu teaching. And it is 135 years since the Nembutsu teaching became to Hawaii-nei. May we retain the teaching of Jodo Shinshu and make our Nembutsu Sangha caring and strong for the future generations. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Thank you for your attention to my presentations. This concludes my Dharma talk this morning. Thank you.